Hey everyone, Vivek this side. So in the last class we have discussed about few major topics like what is political theory, what is meant by politics, and what are the circumstances that led to the origin of political theory, or in short the roots of political theory, right? So today's agenda is to answer few more important questions, that is why should we study political theory, or how can we put political theory into practice, and what we are going to study in this political theory subject, right? So moving toward the first question, that is why should we study political theory? If I ask this simple question to you, why should we study political theory, many of you would say, sir, don't you think this political theory subject should be studied only by professionals like lawyer, politician, bureaucrats, because in our opinion they were directly linked with politics. For example, if you talk about lawyer, politician, bureaucrats, because they were in the business of interpretation of law, they were in the business of rule making process or decision making process, right? So these are the person who are directly linked with politics, not us. So why force us to read this topic, right? Don't you think so? The answer is no. As a student you should also read political theory. Why? Because in the coming future, you are going to be the part of this country as an aware citizen. You are going to cast your vote, right? So it's the sole most responsibility of an aware citizen to know about the political institution that shape the world, whether that institution can be legislature, executive, judiciary. You should understand, because the rules and regulation made by these political institutions are going to affect you in either short run or in long run. So as an aware citizen you should understand how the whole society work, right? You should, being an aware citizen, you can pressurize government more than anybody else, because if you are aware citizen, then you would have a greater say in the decision making process. You can take the example of Raghuram Rajan, you take the example of many journalists. They can pressurize the government in a more deliberate manner than that of the rickshaw wala or sabji wala, right? Because they have a more say in the decision making process. Moreover, if you are an aware citizen, you can start enjoying the debate and discussion which is going to happen on national, international, all regional issues. Because at that time when these debate and discussion are going to take place, you are the person who know the circumstances in more exact manner, right? So when you know the facts more deeply, you are the one who start enjoying the debate. You are the one who has point in both pros and cons of that issue, right? So if we talk about political theory, now political theory is social science where we get some subjective issues like freedom, justice, liberty, equality. Their definition and their ideologies change from time to time. So political theory in itself is not a static subject, it's dynamic. Many people thought that social science or political science is just a static subject. No, it is not. It is a most dynamic subject, because as the society changed, the dimension or the interpretation of these subjective issues changes, right? We should study in more detail when we talk about what we are going to study in political theory, right? So, moving toward the second question, that is, what do we study in political theory? As you can see, that political theory consists of two words. The first is called political, which is something related to public or something that is more concerned about the welfare of the society. The second is theory. Theory means guesses or ideas that is not known to us, right? So considering these 2 points, we can definitely say that political theory consists of something that is more concerned toward the welfare of the society, right? It means what we are going to study in this political theory subject is ideas or principles that shape our constitution, ideas or principles that shape our society, right? For example, you can take the example of Rousseau, who always argue for giving freedom as a fundamental right, right? You must have read in chapter called French Revolution, where the National Assembly fought for fundamental right and call these fundamental right as natural right. Natural right means कि भगवान ने right हमको दिए हैं, and the sole responsibility of government is just to protect them, right? In the similar fashion, we have Karl Marx, who argued for equality in this capitalist world where the capitalist enjoys more power than that of the labor class, right? Then we have Gandhiji, who gave the meaning of Swaraj, who said the people living in a country should adopt or should rule themselves. There is no colonial master who come from another country and they start ruling you, right? So there are few more ideas like freedom, equality, justice, rule of law, and there are many philosophers who appoint their theory in favor of these rights, right? As you already know that our society is changing, right? Circumstances is changing, so as our aspirations changes, our desire changes, which compel the government, the constitution, or the lawmaking firms to make various set of rules and regulations in order to accommodate these aspirations, right? uh, there can be one more valid point, because the idea or the notion of these principles or these rights keep on changing. Initially, freedom means right to vote, but right now, for us, freedom is not meant called right to vote. Freedom means absence of constraint, right? Same with equality, same with fraternity, same with rule of law, right? Moreover, there is a need to review these fundamental rights. I have taken already an example of Article 21, that is right to life and personal liberty, in which we have already discussed that initially right to life is more concerned about right to life only, right? But right now the right to life inculcate in itself so many rights, which include right to life, right to education, right to work, right to livelihood, right? It means there is a need of reviewing these rights as the society changes, right? Moreover, judicial interpretation regarding family laws have also changed. Initially, it was said that the personal life and the societal aspect, they have to kept separate. But right now, when we start discussing the society in more elaborative manner, there is a need of the institution to interfere in your personal matter and in your religious matter, right? When we read the chapter called secularism, we get in more detail of this chapter or this topic, right? Moreover, as there is a technological advancement in the society, for example, we have technological advancement in terms of WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, right? These technological advancement again came up with various opportunities as well as various threat which can compel government to take strict action against them. These technological advancement can take the shape of rumors. For example, you must have read about the advertisement of WhatsApp, in which WhatsApp told you not to spread fake messages, right? Netizens, or the citizen of internet, can misuse the communication against government. They can run their propaganda against government. They they can become so strong that they possesses the capability to overthrow the government, right? So which simply means the government has to take some stricter action in order to find out how much freedom to be allowed to the citizen, right? So moving toward the next part. So so moving toward the last question of the day is, how can we put political theory into practice, right? As we have already learned in the previous lecture that political theory is a more complex and comprehensive issue. It's a social science. It is not mathematics, where each and every fact can be proven empirically. Political theory dealt with concept which has a multi-dimensional angle, and you can't prove any theory with one single definition, right? So that's the reason this political theory is called a political theory, which is more complex and comprehensive, right? Comprehensive, we already learned. Why it is complex, we discussed in later part of this question, right? So if we talk about the idea of freedom, for us the idea of freedom means absence of constraint. कोई हमें किसी बात के लिए ना रोके. But if we consider the idea of freedom in terms of government policies, or in the eye of government, then government can't create absence of constraint, right? Now, the next, if we talk about the idea of equality, for most of us, idea of equality means equality before law and equal protection of law. But if we consider it in a more minute level, then we figure out in most of the instances, or in most of the day-to-day life functioning, we find or we relate that the idea of equality is not followed per se. For example, if you compare the working hours of a labor and a manager in a factory, then you will find that labor is working more number of hours than that of the manager. Still, the salary of the manager is much higher than that of the labor. Is it violate the right to equality? Many of you would say yes, it violates the right to equality. Many of you would say, no, it doesn't violate the right to equality. Same applies with the reservation system. Many of you would say reservation is the violation of right to equality. Many of you would say, no, it doesn't violate the right to equality, right? So these are the some issues which require a lot of debate and discussions. And these debate and discussions had already happened in a more systematic manner. And because of this systematic manner, we came to the conclusion that political theory is a more complex issue and a more comprehensive issue. It need a wider approach. You can't put any theory in a more narrower zone, right? You must examine each and every theory in a more systematic manner. So this is all about the chapter. I hope you would understand the chapter. We discussed these rights in more elaborative manner when we move to the next chapter called freedom, right? So thank you all, and best of luck.